So it's been a couple days since I've been able to get out here and work on this, but I did go through and I changed my bar on my chainsaw and put my 25-inch bar on here. And then also, as you can see, I put a board across through here, and then I took and put some shims and stuff in there to level that up, and I screwed it down to make it good and solid so I'd have a nice flat platform to run my mill over. That way you can get this first cut and kind of level everything out good. So I'm thinking just from the first cut that I made, I was really happy with what was going on. And I thought, man, this is actually going to be pretty cool. So I wanted to dress it up and make it nice and neat, because the other day I was in a real big hurry. Today I'm in a hurry too, because I just got home from work, but the sun is setting, so I don't have much time. But anyways, I'm going to jump in here and make this other cut, and hopefully running this board and this guide on here will straighten up the mess that I had from the other day. So let's jump in here and make this cut and see what it looks like. Well, I have to say, I am quite impressed with that first cut. Let me clean the dust off of it. Wow. That is a pretty piece of red oak, and I'm really surprised at how well that did with just a regular chain on there. It would do a lot better if it had a ripping chain on it, but I am really impressed with the way that it did with just a regular full chisel chain on there. But that's definitely one of my next things, is to get that ripping chain, because, you know, it's meant to do stuff like this. And, you know, this log right here, actually, I didn't think was going to turn out to be a very good log to saw up, and that's one reason why I was using it for firewood. But it actually has some rot in it, which right down in here, it's got some rot, but it's kind of soft and, you know, kind of soft looking on the ends and stuff, but it's just barely into this section. So there's still a lot of this that can be used, and who knows if that works out pretty solid there. That may work into a good look on a table or something, having that coloration, because it's still real solid, it feels like, in the middle, so it's not too bad. I brought this bottle of water to get an idea of what it really would look like. Wow. I just think that's so pretty. there's something about wood grain and that kind of stuff that just absolutely gets my attention. Even whenever I'm splitting firewood, I run into this same thing. I'll split a piece of firewood and I'm like, man, the wood grain in that is just so pretty. Now, a lot of y'all that's been following the channel may know that I kind of have a little bit of a history with wood, but not so much in firewood. Back before my current job, which I've been with the U.S. Postal Service for about 7 years, I actually owned and operated a music store where we sold stringed instruments and stuff like guitars and mandolins and banjos. We also built our own brand of banjos and stuff, so wood grain was a big deal. Like when we was looking for a quality of wood for like a banjo neck, then, you know, that's what we looked at. So for me, when I see stuff like this, I'm like, man, that is a beautiful piece of wood, and I hate to use that for firewood, which is one reason I've been looking into these little chainsaw mills, because I was like, man, why not utilize some of that stuff, because these are beautiful pieces of wood, and I'd like to at least make some furniture out of it and some things for around the house out of trees that came off the property. So anyways, let's get in here and let's make this next cut. We're gonna have to adjust our chainsaw mill just a little bit, because our first cut was adjusted for the depth of the guide that we had there on the top. So we're actually gonna have to take that back out of it in order to not cut a 4 or 5 inch thick piece. So if I wanna go to a 2-inch piece, I'm gonna have to adjust my saw just a little bit, or adjust that sawmill just a little bit in order to compensate for that guide that we had screwed on here. So let's get that and make the next cut and see how this thing works out. I think this is going to be great. I'm so excited about doing this. I've actually ordered some other stuff to go along with this that I don't know when it'll be in, but if you hit that subscribe button, follow along, you'll see it whenever it gets here, and I'll show you all the cool details about it. It's to really help out with doing this and make it a little bit faster. So another thing about this mill, it actually has markings on these depth gauges. And if you set this to the number 2 on here, which looks like it should mean like 2 inches, it's not. It's more like 2 5/8. I don't know if they do that to maybe allow for you running this through a planer or trying to finish it out. You know, maybe that's what their idea is. If you set it to 2 inches, then you have plenty of room to kind of work both sides of the board and get it all smoothed out if you need to, because, you know, a chainsaw cut is a pretty rough cut, but I am actually surprised at how smooth it actually is. It's smoother than I thought it would be. Anyways, let's go ahead and cut this. I'm going to slab at least once, maybe 2 more off of this evening. It's starting to get dark on me, but wow, I really am liking this a lot. This is really something that I should have got a long time ago, and I can see myself, you know, getting tons of use out of this and doing what I was wanting to do in the past, like take some trees from the property and actually mill them into something to use in the house. It's pretty cool. So I didn't make it very far into this next cut, and that's because my chain needs to be sharpened. And I was going to try to sharpen it inside that the mill, but I couldn't really get good angles on my sharpener. So I'm going to take it out of there, but I'm losing daylight, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video. But I'm going to tell you some quick thoughts and some things that I've learned just from setting this up and using it the first time or two. So one of the first things I learned is that I am definitely going to buy one of these for myself. This actually, I was on loan from a buddy of mine that I work with. And again, thanks Tim for letting me borrow this and set this thing up and use this. It has made me decide 100% that I definitely want to get one of these. There's a little bit of initial setup on it. And another thing too, you do, once you get it set up, you want to make sure you go through and check those bolts and everything that's holding that thing together, because that saw vibrates that a whole lot. And I found a couple times actually that some of the nuts had actually worked loose. So it may not even be a bad idea that, you know, once you put this together and you get the things that are for the structure of the unit to put thread lock on those. Some of the other items, you know, you have to make adjustments and stuff on it. So just make sure you get them snug and check them before each time you use them to make sure that they don't back off. Also, I learned that I definitely want to get a ripping chain for this, because while the regular chain will work, I think it's definitely going to make a huge difference to get a chain that's intended on this type of use. The chain that I currently have on the saw is a full chisel chain, and you know, like I say, it does work, but I found out too, it took 2 passes and that thing was ready to be sharpened. So on this third pass, I started into it and I was like, nah, I'm not going to fight with it anymore, because the first pass, it actually will pull itself pretty much through it. You don't hardly have to really push it, because the teeth on the chain actually will pull that into it, and you just kind of guide it and it'll pull itself through that log without hardly any effort at all. The second pass, I noticed that it was getting to the point where I was kind of having to push it a little bit. And the third pass, you know, just a real fine powder coming out of it. There's no sense in forcing it. It's just need to have a sharp chain or a ripping chain that also is sharp. So that's kind of my next step. I'm going to order one of these for myself. Also, if you'd like to order one, I will leave a link in the description below. It is an Amazon affiliate link, and I will get a small commission off of that, but any of the proceeds and stuff from that just get put back into the channel so that I can bring stuff like this to the channel. One of the cool things too that I did learn, while the 2x8 that I used to make my surface flat, that actually worked out pretty good, but I did order a device called an Easy Rail system, and that Easy Rail system is designed to where you can just put it on there, you spike it down, it's got adjustments on it to level it out, and it's a matter of like 5-minute setup, and you don't have to worry about trying to shim and put screws in and do all that kind of stuff. It literally would take probably less than 5 minutes to get your first cut set up and be able to make that first pass. That is actually on back order, so it may be a little while before I get it here. Make sure to click that subscribe button, follow along with us so that you'll know when we get that in, because I'm super excited about getting to try that out too, and just kind of making this process a little bit easier. One other thing that I did learn too is that I am definitely going to make me some sort of a jig to hold these logs, because being down on the ground and trying to push that through and work it through is it's just hard on you, hard on your knees, hard on your back. So I've seen some devices in some other videos that are kind of like a cross type sawhorse that they'll just set down in, kind of wedge in place. I don't know, maybe I'll make something like that, but you know, I definitely want to have something that I can bring my tractor and set that log onto that platform and be able to kind of have it locked in place so it's not trying to move around, and be able to stand up and work that saw through there. It'd be so much easier than the way that I'm doing it down here on the ground. So again, thanks Tim for loaning this to me and letting me set this thing up and put it together and just really, you know, give it a once over, because it's really a cool product and I can see the potential of it just in a few cuts that I've made of what that I may be able to do with this thing. So super excited about that. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also, if you have any questions of something that I didn't show or explain in the video, feel free to leave that in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer you the best that I can. And while you're at it, make sure to click that subscribe button, click the little bell icon so you'll get notifications whenever I upload new videos. And thanks for watching.